Amina's phone vibrated again. But this time, the notification wasn't just a message, it was a lifeline to a truth she wasn't prepared to face. The moment she opened the voice note, her brother's trembling voice shattered the fragile calm of the morning. "I can't keep this from you. You need to know everything about that night. It changes everything." Her pulse raced, every beat louder than the last, as memories of a family fractured by secrets surged forward like a storm. She remembered their father's sudden departure, their mother's silent cries at night, and the unspoken tension that had always lingered in their modern African home. Without a second thought, she grabbed her shoes and ran down the hallway. Kay, her mind spinning with fear and anticipation, every step echoing the uncertainty she felt. Kay, the door to Idris's room loomed before her, and when she opened it, it was empty except for a white envelope resting on the neatly made bed. Her name written in her brother's shaky handwriting. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up and tore it open, revealing a small copper key and a folded note that made her stomach knot. "I'm sorry for keeping this from you. The truth about that night is in the storage box. Forgive me, but you need to see it for yourself." She swallowed hard, her breath shallow, and whispered to herself, what secret could be worse than everything we've already lost? The hallway to the back room seemed endless, shadows stretching across the walls as if the house itself was holding its breath. She reached the storage room, its door creaking ominously, and stepped inside. Sunlight piercing through a small window and highlighting dust particles swirling in the air like memories refusing to die. Her eyes immediately locked on the old wooden storage box, untouched for years, carved with intricate African patterns. And her hands shook as she inserted the key and turned it slowly. The lock clicked, and the lid creaked open to reveal fragments of the past. Family photographs, her mother's torn scarf, an old necklace, and a small leather-bound notebook wrapped carefully in white cloth. She picked up the notebook with trembling hands, and as she opened it, a folded police report slipped out. Her heart skipped as she saw the headline, "The Night of the Incident." Her eyes scanned the pages, each detail cutting deeper than the last, revealing a secret Idris had discovered but had been too afraid to share until now. Suddenly, the front door unlocked, and the sound of approaching footsteps made her freeze. Notebook pressed against her chest. Some truths don't wait to be uncovered. "They come for you," the narrator whispered, and the camera focused on her wide eyes as she turned toward the hallway. Baba Sool, their father, entered calmly at first, then froze at the sight of the open box. For the first time, the respect he commanded in the community did nothing to mask the fear and guilt on his face. Idris stepped forward, voice shaking, demanding the truth about the hidden sibling whose existence he had uncovered, and Baba's hands trembled as he admitted decades of deception, of promises broken, and lives unknowingly affected. Amina's tears fell as she realized the depth of the family's secrets and asked about their mother, only to hear that she had known but chosen forgiveness before her death, leaving the siblings reeling with a mix of anger, grief, and disbelief. Just then, Baba revealed the most shocking twist yet. The sibling, the child of his secret past, was coming to the house today. Amina's breath caught, Idris stiffened, and a knock echoed through the door, each sound like a drumbeat of destiny. The room held its collective breath as the knock repeated, 3 deliberate soft taps, and Amina clutched her chest, heart pounding so hard it seemed to fill the entire house. Abba's face was pale, his usual calm replaced by the raw vulnerability of a man finally facing the consequences of his actions. Idris swallowed hard, glancing at his sister, whose eyes mirrored his fear and anticipation, knowing that within moments, the family as they knew it would cease to exist. Every second stretched like an eternity. The camera zoomed slowly onto the doorknob, the light shifting with the movement of the sun. Shadows casting long, ominous lines across the room. Amina's mind raced. What would this person look like? What would they say? Would they hate their father? Would they hate them? She felt the weight of years of lies pressing down on her, threatening to crush her with the truth yet to arrive. The narrator's voice cut through the tension. A life built on secrets always demands a reckoning. She stepped closer to the door, Idris beside her, their hands trembling but touching, seeking silent comfort. Another knock, firmer this time, sent a shiver down their spines. Baba's hand hovered over the doorknob, hesitating for the briefest moment before turning it. The sound of the lock clicking echoing like a drum announcing judgment. Amina's breath caught, the suspense peaking as the door slowly swung open. Sunlight from the porch casting half the face of the unknown sibling in golden light. Eyes wide with the same questions, fears, and pain that had haunted the family for decades. Idris and Amina froze, unable to speak, unable to move, caught between the anticipation of discovery and the terror of what the first words might reveal. Baba stepped forward cautiously, his voice trembling as he attempted to bridge decades of silence. I am your father, and I owe you the truth. The siblings' gaze darted between them, shock and disbelief mingling in their expression. And Amina could feel the tension rippling through the room, thick and almost tangible. Every heartbeat, every inhale seemed amplified. The house itself seemed to lean in, waiting. Then, finally, the siblings spoke, voice trembling but strong. Why did you leave me? The question hit Baba like a physical blow, and the silence that followed was heavier than any words could carry. Idris took a tentative step forward, attempting to offer comfort, but the weight of decades of lies pressed down on all of them. The narrator added the emotional punch when the truth finally arrives. Nothing remains the same. The camera pans slowly over the four faces, capturing every twitch, every tear, every flicker of emotion as the room held its collective breath, marking the exact moment the family's foundation would either crumble completely or begin the painful journey toward healing. And as the sun continued to stream through the windows, casting shadows that stretched and shifted with the morning light, the first words of connection were uttered, setting the stage for confessions, confrontations, and a story that would change them forever. The door swung fully open, and the moment Amina and Idris laid eyes on their sibling, a storm of emotions hit them like lightning. The young woman standing there, eyes wide, chest tight with years of unanswered questions, looked exactly like their father, the same deep-set eyes, the same curve of the jaw, yet marked by a life of absence and longing, and the tension in the room became almost unbearable as the sibling's voice trembled. I always wondered why you abandoned me. Why no one ever told me who I was, sending a shiver down Amina's spine and making Idris's hands clench in silent fury. While Baba's face collapsed into shame and regret, the lines of decades etched deeper by the weight of his secret. And the camera closed in on every subtle flicker of fear, anticipation, and unresolved anger that passed between them, as though the walls themselves were holding their breath, waiting for the first words to strike the invisible barrier that had existed between the family members for years. Amina stepped forward slowly, heart hammering, and whispered, "We didn't know. But we're here now. Please just listen," while Idris's voice, firm but soft, added, "We want to understand. Tell us everything." And the siblings' hands shook as they clutched a small leather pouch, revealing photos and letters they had kept for decades, the camera capturing every trembling gesture, every tear that threatened to fall, every flicker of recognition that mirrored the stories the siblings had pieced together from fragments of old letters, whispers, and secrets left unspoken. And as the sibling unfolded the first letter, a confession from their late mother detailing the promise Baba had made and broken, the tension in the room escalated to nearly unbearable heights, their voices catching as they read aloud the words that finally explained years of absence. And Amina felt a mix of relief, pain, and disbelief flooding her chest while Idris struggled to contain a wave of anger and sorrow. And Baba, kneeling slowly beside them, whispered through his tears, "I tried. I failed. I thought silence would protect you all, but it destroyed you instead," while the sibling voice cracking asked, "Why now? Why tell me after all this time?" The camera zoomed slowly on Baba's trembling hands, the wrinkled skin and veins showing the weight of decades of guilt. As he explained every detail of the past, how he had met the woman in her youth, the promises he had made, the events that led to separation, and the fear that had kept him silent for so long. Amina's heart broke as she listened, realizing that every lie, every omission, every unspoken word had been meant to protect but had caused pain instead. And Idris's voice rose softly but firmly. "We've waited for answers. And we've found them now," his eyes locking on their sibling, whose tears began to flow freely as the weight of being acknowledged, being seen, finally hit. The room was thick with emotion, the soft golden light of late afternoons streaming through the windows, dust dancing like memories, the camera circling slowly to capture every expression, every silent plea for understanding, and then the sibling, trembling but steadier now, began to tell their story of growing up believing they were abandoned, of searching for their father, of every heartbreak and milestone endured alone, of every question unanswered and every hope crushed, while Amina and Idris hung on each word, their own grief and anger mingling with relief, as the narrator added softly, "When the lost are found, the heart begins its long journey to heal," and Baba reached forward, his hand hovering before finally resting on the sibling's shoulder, a gesture of apology, of love, of fragile reconnection. Tears fell freely now, voices mingling, confessions spilling into the room, every secret revealed, every unanswered question finally addressed, and the sibling looked at Baba and then at Amina and Idris, voice firm despite the shaking. "I forgive you. But I need to know if we can ever be a family," causing a silence that was deafening, broken only by the soft rustle of the curtains and a distant bird outside, as each family member processed the gravity of the reunion. The camera capturing close-ups of eyes reflecting decades of pain, hope, and the tentative beginnings of trust, while Amina finally whispered, "We can try." Together, Idris nodded in agreement and Baba's lips trembled as he said, "I will do whatever it takes to earn your trust." And the siblings' eyes glistened with cautious hope, a flicker of a smile breaking through, as the room's atmosphere shifted subtly from tension to fragile peace, the golden sunlight warming the space. And then the narrator added a final emotional note. Truth may arrive late, but when it does, even the deepest wounds can begin to heal, and a family divided by lies may yet be stitched together by courage, forgiveness, and love, leaving the audience at the edge of their seat, hearts racing, compelled to witness the unfolding of every next moment. As the camera slowly pans out from the living room, showing the four figures, a father, a brother, a sister, and a newly discovered sibling, standing together, fragile but united, marking the beginning of a story that promises both reconciliation and challenges ahead. Every second meticulously designed to keep viewers engaged from start to finish. Every emotional beat hitting precisely to ensure suspense, empathy, and curiosity remain at their peak. And as the soft background music swells, Amina reaches for the sibling's hand. Idris joins, and Baba clasps both their hands, the camera capturing a single frame of hands intertwined. Light falling across their faces, eyes glistening, breath steadying, marking a cinematic, emotionally charged climax, leaving viewers compelled to comment, share, and follow the rest of the story, perfectly aligned with YouTube's engagement triggers and your full professional master commands.